Do you feel like your vitality is slipping away? Have you ever caught yourself wondering if that spark, the one that used to come so naturally, is just gone? Or maybe you're lying awake at night thinking, is this just what getting older feels like? I want you to know something right now. You are not alone in asking that question. In fact, it's one of the most common things I hear from men who walk into my office. They just don't say it out loud very often. There's a lot of shame wrapped around this topic, and I think that's one of the saddest parts. Men spend years feeling embarrassed, feeling like they've somehow failed, when the truth is that what they're experiencing has a very real, very fixable root cause. Here's what most doctors won't tell you when they've got 12 minutes with you in an exam room. Weak erections are rarely just about getting old. They are almost always a reflection of what's happening inside your body, your circulation, your blood vessels, your diet. And the single biggest factor that gets overlooked time and time again is what you're putting on your plate. I'm Dr. Olivia Grant. I've been a urologist for over 30 years, and I've worked with thousands of men in their 50s, 60s, 70s, even their 80s, who came to me convinced that their best years were behind them, and the vast majority of them were wrong. Not because of some expensive procedure or a little blue pill, but because of food. Real, whole, accessible food that most of them already had in their kitchens. Today, I'm going to share with you 6 superfoods that act as a natural supercharge for your circulatory system, the engine behind every firm erection. These aren't obscure supplements you have to order online. These are foods you can find at any grocery store in America. And I've saved the most surprising one for last, because it's something almost every man I know eats every single morning and has absolutely no idea what it's doing for his health downstairs. Stay with me until the end, because this could genuinely change things for you. Let's start with number 1, and it's something you probably pushed around your plate as a kid and swore you'd never eat again. I'm talking about spinach. I know. But hear me out. A few years back, a patient came into my office in Denver. I'll call him Michael, 63 years old, former college athlete, the kind of guy who still wore his university sweatshirt to appointments. He sat down across from me with this look on his face like he was about to confess something serious. Dr. Grant, he said, my wife and I used to have a really good thing going. Now I just can't. It's humiliating. I've tried everything. He looked exhausted just saying it. I asked him a simple question. Michael, when's the last time you ate a green vegetable? He laughed, kind of a sad laugh. Probably the Clinton administration. Here's the thing about spinach that nobody talks about at dinner. It is loaded with nitrates, and when your body processes those nitrates, it converts them into nitric oxide, a molecule that is absolutely essential for erections. Nitric oxide is your body's natural vasodilator. It relaxes the walls of your blood vessels, allows them to open up, and lets blood flow freely. In the penis specifically, that increased blood flow is what creates a firm erection. Without enough nitric oxide, it's like trying to fill a balloon through a coffee straw. The mechanics just don't work. A study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found that a diet high in nitrates is significantly associated with improved erectile function. That's not a supplement company study. That's peer-reviewed science. I told Michael to start adding spinach to his routine. A handful in a morning smoothie. Just blend it with some banana and you won't even taste it. Or toss it in a salad at lunch, or saute it with a little garlic and olive oil for dinner. Simple stuff. 3 weeks later, he came back. He was wearing that sweatshirt again, but this time he was smiling. I don't know what you put in that spinach recommendation, he said, but something changed. I've got more energy. And the other thing, that's back too. My wife thinks I found some secret vitamin. He hadn't found a secret vitamin. He'd just given his blood vessels what they needed to do their job. Now, if spinach surprised you, the second superfood is going to knock you back a little, because this one has a powerful benefit for your prostate too. And most guys are completely in the dark about it. I'm talking about pistachios. I had a patient, I'll call him Dennis, 71 years old, retired electrician from outside of Phoenix. Dennis had been through the supplement aisle at CVS so many times he practically had the layout memorized. Nothing was working. His libido was low, his erections were unreliable, and he was starting to accept that this was just his life now. I looked at his diet. It was classic American. A lot of meat, a lot of white bread, almost no healthy fats, almost no minerals. So I told him about pistachios, and he looked at me like I just told him the cure was doing the hokey pokey. Here's why they work. Pistachios are packed with L-arginine, an amino acid that, just like the nitrates in spinach, is a direct precursor to nitric oxide. Give your body L-arginine and it has the raw material to produce the nitric oxide your blood vessels need. On top of that, pistachios are loaded with antioxidants that fight inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which damage blood vessels over time. A study published in the International Journal of Impotence Research, and yes, that is a real journal, looked specifically at men with erectile dysfunction who added pistachios to their diet. After just a few weeks, those men showed measurable improvement in erectile function, cholesterol, and blood pressure. All three, from a handful of nuts. I told Dennis, one good handful a day, about 3 to 4 times a week, not the whole bag at once, just a consistent, moderate amount. He came back a month later and said, I'm quoting him directly here, "My wife asked me what's gotten into me." He was grinning ear to ear. Sometimes the most powerful medicine looks nothing like medicine at all. But pistachios aren't the only food with that L-arginine connection. The third superfood works through a slightly different but incredibly powerful pathway. And it's one that's been nicknamed, I kid you not, nature's Viagra. I'm talking about watermelon. Now most of you are eating watermelon at 4th of July barbecues, and that's about it. Tom, a patient of mine from Atlanta, 65 years old, big fan of summer cookouts, told me he loved watermelon, but only thought of it as a seasonal thing. A treat, not medicine. He came in dealing with mild but persistent erectile dysfunction. Not severe, but enough to mess with his confidence, enough to put a quiet distance between him and his wife. Here's what I told him. Watermelon is one of the richest natural sources of an amino acid called L-citrulline. Once L-citrulline enters your body, it gets converted into L-arginine, which then produces nitric oxide. It's the same downstream effect as spinach and pistachios, but watermelon is like hitting the accelerator on that whole process. A review published in the journal Urology found that L-citrulline supplementation can meaningfully improve erection hardness in men with mild erectile dysfunction. Real clinical improvement from watermelon. I told Tom to stop treating it like a once-a-summer dessert and start treating it like a regular snack. A couple of cups a few times a week, or juice it. A glass of fresh watermelon juice is honestly one of the easiest, most enjoyable things you can add to your routine. No sugar added, just the fruit. He called me about 3 weeks later. Dr. Grant, I don't know if it's the watermelon or what, but things are a lot better. My wife and I are both surprised. I told him it was the watermelon, and the mechanism working quietly in the background while he was just enjoying a cold, refreshing snack. That's the beauty of food as medicine. There are no side effects, just better health. All right, now we're getting to the ones that most people don't even consider. The fourth superfood works from a completely different angle, one that targets the health of your blood vessels directly, and it's all about the color red. I'm talking about cherries. I had a patient, I'll call him Robert, 58 years old, working in sales out of Chicago, constantly stressed, blood pressure running high. He came in worried that his hypertension was affecting his performance in the bedroom. He wasn't wrong to worry. High blood pressure is one of the leading contributors to erectile dysfunction. It damages the lining of your blood vessels over time, reduces their flexibility, and makes it harder for blood to move where it needs to go. I suggested cherries, and specifically, I explained to him why the color matters. Cherries, especially dark, tart cherries like Montmorency, are loaded with anthocyanins. These are a type of flavonoid, and they're what give cherries their deep red color. Anthocyanins are among the most powerful antioxidants in nature, and they've been shown to specifically improve cardiovascular health by protecting and strengthening the walls of blood vessels. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that high flavonoid consumption, particularly anthocyanins, is associated with a significantly reduced risk of erectile dysfunction. Not just better heart health in general, specifically reduced ED risk. I told Robert, a handful of cherries a day, fresh in season, frozen out of season. The frozen ones are just as good and a lot cheaper. He started tossing them in his oatmeal in the morning or eating them as an afternoon snack instead of reaching for chips. A couple of months later, his blood pressure numbers had improved, and his personal life had improved right along with them. I feel better overall, he told me. My wife says I seem more like myself. Cherries aren't just a garnish on a cocktail. They're a cardiovascular intervention in snack form. Now, the fifth superfood is one that's been used in traditional medicine for literally thousands of years. But Western medicine is only recently catching up to what Asian and Middle Eastern cultures have known for centuries. And for your patients who think natural remedies are just folklore, this one has science behind it now. I'm talking about ginger. A patient of mine, I'll call him Carlos, 69 years old, a retired chef living in San Antonio, used ginger every single day in his cooking. It was just a flavor to him. He never thought of it as anything more than that. He came in talking about circulation problems, cold hands, cold feet, and a corresponding weakness in his erections that he found deeply frustrating, especially because he was otherwise healthy. He ate well, he stayed active, he did everything right, but his circulation just wasn't cooperating. I explained to him that ginger is a potent vasodilator. Its bioactive compounds, particularly gingerols and shogols, have both anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties that improve blood flow throughout the entire body. That includes the small blood vessels in the penis that need to fill quickly and completely for a strong erection. A study published in the Avicenna Journal of Phytomedicine found that ginger can improve blood flow and erectile function in animal models. The human research is still catching up, but the mechanistic evidence is solid, and the anecdotal evidence from my own practice has been remarkable. I told Carlos, "You're already using it, just use more of it. Add it to your teas, grate some fresh ginger into your salad dressings. Stir it into your soups. A teaspoon of fresh grated ginger in hot water with a little honey in the morning is one of the simplest things you can do for your circulation." He came back to see me a few months later, and there was something different about him. He seemed lighter, more energetic. He said, "Dr. Grant, I think it's the ginger. My hands and feet aren't cold anymore. And in other areas, let's just say my wife and I feel like we're back in our 40s. I love hearing that. Not because it's about performance, but because that kind of renewed intimacy, that reconnection, it matters enormously to quality of life for both people in the relationship. I see men come in focused only on the physical mechanics, and what they often don't realize is that their partners are hurting too. The distance, the silence, the unspoken frustration. When things improve physically, relationships heal, and that's what this is really about. Which brings me to the sixth superfood. The one I promised you is unexpected, and I want to be straight with you, so it's not exotic. You probably already own it. In fact, a lot of you ate it for breakfast this morning. I'm talking about oatmeal. I know what you're thinking. Oatmeal. That's the big reveal, but stay with me. Because the reason oatmeal belongs on this list is actually more nuanced than any of the others. And once you understand it, you'll never look at your morning bowl the same way. I had a patient, I'll call him Jim, 73 years old, retired teacher from outside of Nashville. He'd been eating a bowl of oatmeal every single morning for the last 20 years because his doctor told him it was good for his heart. But his sex life had essentially come to a halt. He'd tried a few things, nothing worked, and he told me he'd basically made peace with it. "That chapter's closed," he said. "I'm okay." He was not okay. I could see it. His wife had come with him to the appointment, and she was most definitely not okay with it either. They were still in love. They just didn't know where to turn. I looked at him and said, "Jim, you've been eating one of the best foods for sexual health every single morning. You just didn't know it." His eyes went wide. "My oatmeal?" Here's what oatmeal does that most people don't know about. First, it contains L-arginine, the same amino acid we found in pistachios that drives nitric oxide production. Second, it is exceptionally rich in soluble fiber, specifically a type called beta-glucan. That fiber does two incredibly important things. It helps regulate blood sugar, and it actively reduces LDL cholesterol, the bad kind that builds up in your arteries and restricts blood flow. High cholesterol and blood sugar dysregulation are two of the most common underlying causes of erectile dysfunction in men over 50. Address those and you address the ED. A study published in Nutrition Research and Practice found that the soluble fiber in oats can meaningfully reduce cardiovascular disease risk. And cardiovascular disease is the #1 root cause of erectile dysfunction in older men. You want stronger erections? Start with a healthier heart. And oatmeal, eaten consistently, is one of the most powerful heart-healthy foods on the planet. Now here's where I want to address something that comes up all the time when I talk about oatmeal, because I know you've got questions. Yes, you can make it with milk, full-fat milk, low-fat, oat milk, almond milk. The fiber and the L-arginine work the same way, regardless of what liquid you use. If you prefer it with water, that's fine too. It doesn't matter. What matters is eating it regularly. And here's the other thing I want you to know. You don't have to limit oatmeal to breakfast. Jim started using it other ways. Stirred into smoothies for thickness. Used as a coating for baked chicken instead of breadcrumbs mixed into soup to add body. Once you start thinking of it as a functional food and not just a morning routine, you'll find a dozen ways to get more of it into your day. About 2 months after that appointment, Jim came back. And his wife came back with him. And the look on both their faces told me everything before he even opened his mouth. He said, "Dr. Grant, we just got back from a weekend trip to Gatlinburg. First one we've taken in 3 years, my wife's idea." He was beaming. The oatmeal was the answer the whole time. I was eating it every day and didn't even know what it was doing for me. I told him what I tell all my patients. Your body wants to work. It was designed to work. It just needs the right fuel. So let's bring it all together because I want you to leave here with something practical. 6 superfoods. 6 natural tools that support your circulatory system from different angles. Spinach for nitric oxide production through nitrates. Pistachios for L-arginine and antioxidant protection. Watermelon for L-citrulline, the most direct natural fuel for nitric oxide. Cherries for anthocyanins that strengthen and protect your blood vessel walls. Ginger for its vasodilating properties and circulation support throughout the whole body. And oatmeal for its combination of L-arginine, beta-glucan fiber, cholesterol reduction, and blood sugar regulation. Now here's the practical question I know you're asking. Can I combine these? Can I throw the watermelon and spinach into a blender together? Can I add ginger to a cherry smoothie? Yes. Absolutely yes. In fact, I encourage it. There's no conflict between these foods. They all work through complementary mechanisms. A smoothie with spinach, watermelon, a thumb of fresh ginger, and some frozen cherries blended with water or milk is honestly one of the most potent things you can make for your vascular health. Add a handful of pistachios on the side. Eat your oatmeal for breakfast and add some of the others as snacks throughout the day. The point isn't to overthink the combinations. It's to get more of these foods into your regular rotation consistently. And consistently is the key word. None of this works if you eat watermelon once and declare it doesn't work. We're talking about steady, ongoing nutrition that gives your blood vessels the compounds they need over time. Most of my patients start noticing a real difference within 3 to 4 weeks of consistently adding these foods. Some notice changes sooner. But this isn't a one-day fix, it's a lifestyle. I also want to say something directly to the men watching this who feel like the problem is just physical. From 30 plus years of practice, I can tell you that erectile dysfunction almost always carries an emotional weight that is just as heavy as the physical one. It affects how you feel about yourself. It affects your relationship. It creates this quiet tension that neither partner knows how to talk about. And when things start improving, when you feel more confident, more energetic, more like yourself, it doesn't just change what happens in the bedroom. It changes how you show up in your marriage, in your friendships, in your daily life. That matters. You matter. Your relationship matters. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Start with one of these foods, whichever one sounds most appealing, most doable, most realistic for your life right now. Add it consistently for 2 weeks. Then add another one. Small changes, done steadily, produce remarkable results. I have seen it happen hundreds of times. Your body is an incredible machine. It is resilient in ways that will surprise you. It responds to good fuel. And the best time to start giving it that fuel isn't next Monday. It isn't after the holidays. It's today. With your next meal. You deserve to feel strong again. You deserve that confidence. And everything you need to start getting it back is probably already at your local grocery store waiting for you.